1955 was chaos and charm rolled into vinyl. A dozen artists hit the charts once, owned the airwaves, then disappeared.
Beautiful face when I pass through.
These are the 12 forgotten one-hit R&B wonders of 1955, songs that burned bright, faded fast, and still echo through history's static. 12. The Turbans. When You Dance.
Embrace, then you know.
The Turbans' When You Dance was pure joy, a doo-wop anthem that blended street corner harmony with upbeat charm. Released on Herald Records in 1955, it climbed to number 3 on the R&B chart and broke into the Pop Top 40, introducing the world to that signature doo-wop sound. But the group's success was short-lived. Follow-ups lacked the same spark, and their label struggled to replicate the hit's crossover energy, as newer, smoother groups like The Platters and The Drifters dominated radio. The Turbans sounded dated within a year. Constant lineup changes didn't help. By the late 50s, the group was touring oldies circuits instead of making new records.
Be sure to hold her tight.
When You Dance still shows up on nostalgia compilations, but for the Turbans themselves, it was lightning that never struck twice. 11. Priscilla Bowman with Jay McShann, Hands Off.
Keep mine, all mine, no matter what you do.
Priscilla Bowman made history as the first woman to hit number 1 on the R&B chart in 1955, yet few remember her name. Backed by pianist Jay McShann's band, Hands Off was a gritty, blues-rooted track with confident vocals and punchy horns, an early taste of female assertiveness in R&B. But McShann was the credited band leader, and Bowman never secured proper promotion or solo billing. The record's label, VJ, focused on other rising acts, and by the next year her follow-ups went unnoticed. Bowman's career faded quietly as R&B shifted towards smoother doo-wop and rock and roll. Hands Off should have made her a star, but industry politics and poor marketing left it a footnote. The powerhouse single from a singer who disappeared before she ever got her due. 10. The Nutmegs, Story Untold.
Someday she'll come back to me.
The Nutmegs came out of New Haven, Connecticut, with a heartbreaking doo-wop ballad that briefly rivaled the Penguins' Earth Angel. Story Untold, released on Herald Records in 1955, hit number 2 on the R&B chart with its falsetto lead, simple melody, and emotional lyrics about lost love. But the group's timing was unlucky. Their label was small, their promotion limited, and their sound, raw, regional, and church-influenced, was quickly overshadowed by better produced acts on major labels.
Right from the start, you made...
Legal disputes over songwriting credits also cut momentum short. The Nutmegs tried to follow up with Ship of Love, but radio stations had already moved on. Within a year, they vanished from national charts. Today, Story Untold survives mostly among collectors, a forgotten gem from a talented group swallowed by the fast-changing R&B landscape of the mid-50s.
There's a story untold.
9. The Jacks, Why Don't You Write Me? The Jacks' Why Don't You Write Me sounded like a love letter set to melody, gentle, pleading, and deeply human. Released on Modern Records in 1955, it climbed into the R&B top 10, but its success was tangled in confusion. The same group released songs under another name, The Cadets, for a different label. That marketing trick split their fan base and buried their identity. The Jacks never built momentum, and follow-ups struggled to find radio play amid stronger label competition. Their sound, sincere and uncluttered, didn't fit the flashier production trends emerging from Chicago and New York. By the end of the decade, they were forgotten, remembered only by doo-wop collectors. Why Don't You Write Me remains a reminder that talent could thrive, then vanish without proper branding. 8. The Colts, Adorable.
Heaven starts at 7 sharp.
The Colts' Adorable was one of those perfect mid-50s moments, smooth, heartfelt, and perfectly in step with early R&B's romantic side. Released on Modern Records in 1955, it hit an 11 on the R&B chart, earning the Los Angeles group national attention.
From heaven, because
But behind the success was instability. Their lead singer, Buck Ram protege Eddie Jones, left soon after, and the label shifted focus to other acts. Without consistent promotion, the Colts couldn't follow up their breakthrough. Their harmonies had polish, but they lacked a strong musical identity, as R&B rapidly evolved toward gospel-driven soul.
excitable when kissed.
By 1957, they had disappeared from charts entirely. Adorable endures as a small gem, a glimpse of West Coast R&B before the scene moved on, leaving the Colts behind. Their harmonies didn't last, but the feeling did. Proof that even one timeless track can outlive the band behind it.
So divine, my adorable.
If these classics still hit you today, hit like and subscribe. It keeps the groove alive and makes sure this channel lasts forever. 7. The Cardinals. The door is still open to my heart. The Cardinals had everything: smooth harmonies, classy production, and a label with clout. Signed to Atlantic Records, they scored a big hit in 1955 with The Door Is Still Open to My Heart, reaching number 4 on the R&B chart. It was a slow, polished ballad that felt radio-ready, showcasing the vocal control that made them one of the best East Coast harmony groups of their time. But momentum slipped quickly. Atlantic's growing roster, Ruth Brown, Ray Charles, the Clovers, overshadowed them, and internal disputes broke up the group before they could record another major hit.
Than to hold it inside.
When Dean Martin revived the song years later, few remembered who did it first. For the Cardinals, it was a bittersweet legacy. One perfect song, then silence. As doo-wop spread across every corner of the country, smaller labels tried to catch the wave, and while a few struck gold, most couldn't hold on once the next trend hit. The Spiders, 21. The Spiders were New Orleans pioneers whose 21 captured the city's swing before it became mainstream. Released on Imperial Records, it hit number 9 on the R&B chart in 1955, with its jazzy rhythm and playful vocal exchanges.
Just made 21, I'm 3 times 7, just made 21.
But internal turmoil ruined the group's chances. Lead singers left mid-tour, and management disputes split them apart. Meanwhile, Imperial shifted full focus to Fats Domino, leaving the Spiders without the push they needed. Their sound, rooted in early jump blues, quickly felt old next to the smoother harmonies of newer doo-wop acts.
When I come back, baby, don't be mad.
Within a year, they were gone from the charts. 21 still pops up on New Orleans R&B compilations, but the Spiders themselves were overshadowed, pioneers who helped define the groove, then got erased from its history. Bubber Johnson, Come Home.
There's none will ever compare.
Bubber Johnson had the voice for stardom, smooth, emotional, and perfectly suited for late-night radio. Come Home, released on Herald Records in 1955, was his only major hit, reaching number 7 on the R&B chart.
In a moment, what has taken us?
The song's pleading tone and sophisticated arrangement drew comparisons to early Sam Cooke. But Johnson's career was derailed by label mismanagement. Herald Records lacked strong distribution, and Bubber's follow-ups never reached national audiences.
'Cause I love you so.
Changing taste didn't help either. R&B was shifting toward teenage doo-wop, leaving crooners behind. By the time he signed with King Records, momentum was gone. Come Home faded quietly, remembered mostly by DJs who loved his sincerity.
Give love another try.
Johnson's story became typical of the time. Real talent, one hit, and a career cut short by the industry's growing appetite for youth and novelty. 4. The Dandeliers, Chop Chop Boom.
My baby wouldn't tell me nothing that she said, you know it always reminds.
Chop Chop Boom was everything that made early doo-wop fun. Tight harmonies, a nonsense hook, and a rhythm that made teenagers dance. Released in 1955 on Blue Lake Records, it hit number 4 on the R&B chart and looked like the start of a long career for Chicago's The Dandeliers.
Oh, that song, chop chop boom, chop chop boom.
But Blue Lake was a tiny label that folded soon after, leaving the group without national distribution. Without promotion, their follow-up singles couldn't get airplay. The Dandeliers tried recording again under different labels, but none recaptured that first spark.
Oh, well, my baby's always saying that chop chop boom, but not
Their playful sound was soon eclipsed by more polished acts from larger companies. Chop Chop Boom became a novelty footnote, a hit that survived only on jukeboxes long after the band behind it disappeared into Chicago's club circuit. R&B was exploding nationwide in 1955. Every city had its own scene, its own sound, and its own one-hit miracle that never got a second chance. 3. Raleigh McGill, There Goes That Train.
And the joy, and the joy.
Raleigh McGill's There Goes That Train was a smooth, aching ballad that sounded like it came straight from midnight radio. Released on Piney Records in 1955, it reached No. 5 on the R&B chart thanks to McGill's mellow sax solo and tender delivery, but the small Philadelphia label couldn't keep up with demand.
Should have died if I had a died.
And distribution issues buried the single just as it was gaining traction. McGill, a talented session player, drifted back into the background, playing for others instead of fronting his own hits. When the sound of R&B evolved toward louder, more gospel-influenced vocals, his soft, bluesy tone felt out of step.
Have this race to run.
There Goes That Train faded into collector history, a song that deserved better promotion and an artist who never got another shot at the spotlight. 2. The Hearts, Lonely Nights. The Hearts' Lonely Nights was a New York street corner anthem that hinted at girl group magic years before the Supremes. Released on Baton Records in 1955, it hit number 8 on the R&B chart with a haunting blend of harmony and heartbreak. Lead singer Zell Sanders gave the track its emotional bite. But Baton Records, despite regional success, had limited national reach. As the group rotated members and struggled for airplay outside the East Coast, their identity blurred. Their follow-up singles went nowhere, and the Hearts were quickly overshadowed by emerging female acts on bigger labels. Still, Lonely Nights stands as a blueprint for the emotional girl group sound that dominated the early 60s. It's one of those records that proved women could lead in R&B. 1. The Four Fellows, Soldier Boy.
Why do you cry when you
Before the Shirelles made Soldier Boy famous, the Four Fellows had their own. Their 1955 hit blended military devotion with doo-wop smoothness, climbing to number 4 on the R&B chart and briefly crossing into pop radio. Released on Glory Records, Soldier Boy showcased the kind of harmonies that made New York's doo-wop scene so influential.
your love is true.
But after the hit, The group couldn't keep momentum, management disputes, poor promotion, and constant touring with little pay took their toll. Newer acts with cleaner production quickly replaced them on playlists. By 1957, the four fellows had faded from national charts completely. Today, their Soulja Boy is mostly forgotten. But for a short time, it stood as one of the earliest examples of R&B blending patriotism, romance, and street harmony into something timeless. 1955 may have belonged to the legends, but these forgotten hits were its heartbeat, brief, bright, and gone too soon. Each artist left a mark before radio trends and record labels buried their names. If any of these songs made you stop and listen, hit like and subscribe. It keeps their stories alive. And before you go, tap the next video on your screen for a look at the songs that pushed boundaries and got silenced in the 70s.